So welcome, Coyote Chat number 7. Today we are lucky to have two of our esteemed coaches from athletics department here today. But don't let it fool you. These folks are actually college professors too. They teach kinesiology and health sciences. They don't just coach; they also teach. They do both do it very, very well. So today you're going to hear from which one first?
I'll go first.
So Coach Dugan is going to go first. Coach Dugan is our men's basketball head coach. He's a really great one at that. So we're going to hear from him today, and then we'll hear from Coach Justus Scott.
Thank you guys for coming. My name is Chris Dugan. I'm the men's basketball coach here. Also work in the field, health and science. Obviously enjoy working at the community college level. I got my start at the community college level. I went to Allen Hancock College. I've always believed in community college athletics and the opportunity to get an affordable education. I've had plenty of friends that go to the four-year university and basically spend thousands of dollars to get the same education you can get at the community college level. I didn't really have money growing up, so community college was kind of the only option. Wasn't prepared to be a student, didn't really know how to be a student. Obviously changing times now, they don't have lower English and lower math, and so obviously when I was there, I learned to be a proper student, and obviously went through that route, and always knew that I wanted to be a community college professor, so that's kind of how I knew what my career was going to be, and eventually transferred to San Jose State University, and then right away knew I needed to get my master's to eventually come back to this level. So truly do believe in it, and obviously been at Cerro Coso for the past what is it now, 6, 7? Yeah, going into year 7, time flies. I feel like I just met Coach Scott. Before that, I worked at another community college, College Coyote, which is in Visalia for 5 years. Worked for a Hall of Fame coach. Obviously taught me how to be a coach, how to act, how to run a program the right way. Then obviously coming here, starting as an adjunct professor in the last 2 years, in my second year as a full-time professor. Coach Scott would attest it and understanding it's very hard to get these positions that are attached in the health and science. Obviously, it's a dying profession in a sense where it's kind of funny how the importance of kinesiology and health is going away, but your health really is your wealth, right? And sometimes where 5-10 years ago you had to take physical activity classes, you had to take health, you had to take intro kinesiology, which made it a lot more resource, but they started to take that away. Most high schools, they don't require physical education anymore, and so I feel hopefully we kind of turn back and get to a point where maybe we have a more robust kinesiology and health and education program. So, you want to go back? Let's go back and forth.
All right.
Yeah, you can be yours.
I don't know if I can top health is your wealth. Yeah, a lot of what Coach Dugan said is, I feel the same way, especially academically. The 2-year level is a great starter for a lot of students. From personal experience, it's been a long time. I just turned 50, so it was about 28, 30 years ago that I was a student, kind of like you are, and I didn't like it. First, I went to community college in Mississippi, a little background, played baseball. I just knew I wanted to keep playing, and that was kind of the avenue for me. Same thing like Coach Dugan, family had very little money, so scholarship was extremely important to continue on and be able to go to school, be able to go to college. So community college in Mississippi, then I moved to the University of Memphis, kept playing baseball. I was done, and I had 1 more year to complete to get my bachelor's, and so I stayed at the University of Memphis, completed it. Main point is I didn't enjoy school. Couldn't wait for it to be done. It was an extreme grind for me, and then until I decided to get my master's, and for whatever reason, it was easier for me. I enjoyed it more. And I think it was because I was able to pick a subject matter. In this case, kinesiology, something I enjoyed, the human movement, and sports, and being a player, kind of all tied in together. So getting the master's was a lot easier for me, and I've heard that from a lot of people, and so that's something to kind of keep in mind, that maybe if you keep going, that the master's might be a little bit easier than your bachelor's. I've heard that quite a bit. Main thing I want to talk about is kind of doors opening and closing. What I mean by that is kind of had a different route, different circle to get here. Like I said, 50. I've been coaching baseball for about on and off for mostly on for 27 years. When I was done with my master's, that's all I ever wanted to do was coach baseball. Just coach baseball, coach college baseball. And it's hard. It's hard to land something. A lot of times you're working for basically free. So I went to Middle Tennessee State, coached, back to the University of Memphis, bounced around the South, Tennessee, Kentucky, South Carolina, all college baseball. I was kind of the guy that at the 4-year level I was mowing grass and doing lessons to make a living. And then I was at Murray State, coaching baseball, and found out that we were going to have our second child. And I remember looking at my wife and saying, we can't do this financially. There's absolutely no way. But looking back, I should have hugged the tree harder. You've never heard that saying. I should have held on. I was close. I was getting interviewed, but I let the money aspect kind of change what I wanted to do for a career, which rightfully so. I mean, you gotta be able to eat and pay your utility bills. So I got into construction. A little bit of nepotism. I worked for the in-laws. They owned a huge construction company out here in California. And this is not meant just to be about me. There's a kind of a point to it at the end of it. And I hated it. Making good money, couldn't stand it. And I did that for about 5 or 6 years. And I helped out with the local high school baseball. Just figured, okay, coach my kids when they're little league, dad, that sort of thing. Never get back into college baseball, because once you get out, all sports, it's tough to get back in. So long story short, the father-in-law was retiring, got fired basically. Yeah, I don't know how many people would say that. The father-in-law fired you. So I was painting houses and digging ditches and with a master's degree. We were selling furniture, you name it, to pay bills. Applying all over the country, baseball jobs, project management jobs, you name it. In about a year and a half, it was looking pretty dire. Kind of a funny story, that there's a summer baseball game for the high school, local high school. And I was just pulling up, my wife was driving, and got a call. Didn't recognize the number, but I calling it, answering the phone all the time, because job interviews, that sort of thing. Hello, this is Josh Simon, AD at Cerro Coso. Again, this is 10 or 11 years ago. Are you really interested in this job? I said, absolutely. Definitely interested. Can you get here Thursday? And this is like a Friday or Saturday. So absolutely, I can get there. Okay, what time? 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock. All right, I'll be there. I went to the phone, I looked at my wife, and I said, Cerro Coso? Where is it? And she said, well, yeah, I applied for you on LinkedIn. So actually my wife saved the day applying to Cerro Coso for myself. Got here on Thursday, hired shortly after, and it's been a great experience for 10 years. First couple of years here, I was not a full-time professor, but it was better. So I guess the point of that long-winded story is that you never know at the end of the day what's going to happen. Job-wise, academically, I kind of ended up where I started and wanted to do. Doors open, doors close, more doors will open. So I think, especially nowadays, I think a lot of people, especially students, right, that are in school right now and they're thinking about that degree and that degree and that degree, which is great and academic. There's life, and sometimes life will knock you down, and you just gotta keep going. Keep going, but at the end of the day, my bachelor's degree and master's degree certainly came out and helped me. We're at a long point, there's 5 or 6 years where I thought, oh, why'd I do that? It didn't help me. So, it's kind of a little bit off script, but just know, I guess the main thing is just know that, like I said, that opportunities arise.
I'll piggyback off of kind of what he said. Is obviously I think in your society, and I'm young, I'm 35, and me and Coach Coyote always joke, like, I feel like I'm closer to him than your generation. but it's kind of the microwave culture that you guys live in. You want it now, and I don't think any decision you should make is be based on money. Now you have a child right now. So I know IFL coach Scott felt, 20 years ago, 25 years ago when his son was born, and I felt that same pressure about 18 months ago when my wife was pregnant and said, hey, I need to go make some money. And it was the first time in my life I've ever questioned about making a decision based upon money. And for me, I didn't grow up with money. I didn't really always understand financial literacy and value it. But that's my recommendation. Just like Coach is saying, is it's always best to find something you love. More times than not, you're gonna have to work the rest of your life. You're not gonna hit the lotto. You could do some things to invest, but you should enjoy what you do. And that's the one thing I think with me and Coach Scott, we really do enjoy what we do, but we really had to pay a price, for, just like him for 15 years. I was a part-time employee for 11 years. I was a Division I video coordinator getting paid nothing. I was a lead assistant at a top program in the state of California. I made $5,000 a year to coach baseball or basketball. I wish I coached baseball. It's funny, I love baseball. That's why I get along. I like baseball more than basketball, but then obviously coming here, I was a full or part-time coach and just trying to make it work. And similar to his story, it's funny how we've both been here for this long, where I got a call August 26th. 8 days later, I was hired, decided to move here, took over a team that they won 7 games in 4 years. So you just kind of never know what's going to happen in life. And I'd say the one thing, the recommendation is, don't pass up on opportunities, because you just never know what's going to come back around. I tell people all the time is, you're waiting for your life to be perfect, or you're waiting for the perfect opportunity or the perfect coaching position. You might not get another chance, and that's why sometimes people will jump at the chance to be a head coach, because kind of once you get in there, whatever you want to do is get your feet wet. And more times than not, you are going to fail. That's just part of life. You're going to make mistakes, and again, I made plenty of mine, and obviously if you have people that support you, that's always kind of what you're looking for. So, what do you got on there next, Coach?
Transitioning from student to professional. You haven't done that yet.
No.
So, let's get that. Yeah. Transition from student to professional. Your experience and any advice you might give.
Well, the biggest thing I recommend is do not rush into being an adult. Enjoy your time, enjoy your 20s, enjoy being a college student, have fun, travel. A lot of times I've seen a lot of people make decisions based upon money. Like there's people where, hey, I'm gonna stop playing a sport. I'm gonna stop doing this because I need to make money. And I always tell all my student athletes where you have to put yourself in a place where you could help yourself out before you help others. But I recommend is don't rush into it, man. Enjoy your 20s. It's time for you to make mistakes. If you have the opportunity to travel, go have fun, experience life. And no matter what, early in life, it's the easiest it's ever going to be. You're a college student. You don't really have a whole bunch of debt. You don't have responsibilities. Now, if you do have a child and those type of situations, but more times than not, you don't have a lot to worry about. You could just drop whatever you're doing at a second. I can't do that anymore, obviously, with the child and all those things. So that's my recommendation for that. But transitioning for me, it really wasn't that hard. Just because I went from being a walk-on at San Jose State University, and my eligibility had ran out. I still had another 6 months until I graduated, and just naturally flowing from being a player into being a team manager, and then obviously having the opportunity to be a video coordinator. So it just happened really quickly. I always knew I wanted to coach basketball. Early on, a little bit in the field of kinesiology. I kind of liked athletic training. I just always wanted to be around sports. But it was seamless for me, and that's not usually the path that people take. More times than not, people take paths just like Coach Scott, where you kind of have to zig and zag and kind of maneuver stuff. There's plenty of times where I didn't know if I would ever get a full-time head coaching position. I had been here for 4 or 5 years. We've been hyper successful. I always wanted to be a father. I always thought I'd be a father a little bit earlier in life, and then I got to that point where hey, maybe I just maybe I go get a job on base, or maybe I just go work somewhere else, or go do something different. But I'm glad that I kind of hugged the tree and had goals and stuff what I wanted to do. But and obviously too, transition from student to profession. Don't be afraid to change. To maybe do something different. There's a lot of people that are later in life that maybe change careers or go into a different path, or hey, maybe this isn't really my passion. there's plenty of people that they redesign themselves that later in life. So I hope I can coach for another 20 or 30 years. I don't know if emotionally I can handle. I would always like to eventually transition, maybe being an athletic director or something in the field of sports. So that's my recommendation. It just goes back to what I was saying is find out what you really love to do and then attack that, and then the money will come no matter what. And again, there's more things in life that what comes easy doesn't last, and that happens a lot of times where you could go get a job at Costco right now and go make $60,000-$70,000 a year, but do you really want to do that for the next 20 or 30 years? Now there's nothing wrong. There's plenty of people that work at Costco for 30, 40 years, but it's is that what you want to do? Do you want to have some freedom? And obviously, me and Coach can say we have some of the best jobs in the world. Everyone wants a California community college coaching job. You get summers, you get winters off. Half our load is coaching, and so it's a great spot. And I always feel that sometimes you can be a little bit negative, and then obviously just thinking about it now it's a good job to be able to do it. So,
transition from student to professional is it's like anything else. It's experience, right? I couldn't pinpoint when it happened or when I did it or what was the point where I call myself a professional. Just experience, making mistakes and learning from them. I think is the biggest thing. You probably hear it all the time from parents or grandparents is you learn from mistakes more than your success, and you really do. Hey, I should have handled that situation differently. I should have talked to that person differently. I should have slept on it. And I think just after years of being in different settings where you're either working along someone right next to you, or if you're kind of in charge of somebody or the boss in a certain situation that you make mistakes, you learn from them, and you try not to make that same mistake again. And then I think you kind of transition into being seasoned and having some experience and feel like that the job you're doing, whatever it is, you're doing it well. Kind of off topic, but Coach Dugan mentioned it. This really is. It's a great place, a great job, one of the favorite things for me is seeing, we have a player that graduated last year and he's back over Christmas break to work out at the baseball field. That right there tells you instead of going home, he's going to Ridgecrest and Cerro. He told me the other day that he feels like he's home, right? And there's been a lot of players like that in the past several years that you kind of, I say players, I mean they're students, but we're with them so much. They're it's not necessarily the same as you have somebody in a strength training class. They're with you 200 days a year in some shape, form, or fashion. So looking back and seeing what they're doing now, and I'm old enough and been here long enough, guys are now getting jobs. A couple of them have young babies. So that's a pretty neat thing about this is and being here that the student athletes that have come here, most of them have really, really enjoyed it. And kind of seeing and looking back and seeing what they're doing now is a great feeling for our positions.
You usually don't remember the game, so usually the people, the kids you spent it with, and then obviously being around them, like Loeb and some of those guys. I had a guy Rock, he comes back, and I hardly remember any of the games, but I remember the bus rides and him and Jonathan Foster and all those guys. That's the one recommendation I have you guys is enjoy the journey with who you spend it with, right? And sometimes it's like junior college. My best friend growing up was a kid from Cincinnati, Ohio, that we just come from totally different backgrounds, and it's just funny, unique how it works, and enjoying the journey that you spend it with for sure.
You want to do some questions?
Sure.
Any questions? All right, we're done. No.
You had one in the back, didn't you?
Let's check it out.
Question?
I got a question for you.
Yeah.
What is the hardest part about being a college coach? The hardest part. The thing you think about all day long, you go home thinking about it.
Coaching's easy. It's all the extra stuff, especially at this level. X's and O's. Anyone can do X and O's. You can learn to be a coach. You could study, but again, there's that human element. You can't have an understanding and feel. Obviously, it's I love the game of baseball, and it's all analytical. There's no feel to it. It's just you're taking that out of it. Where obviously, a big Yankees fan is is I just don't understand how the fact you could have one of the best pitchers in the game of baseball and hey, well, he's in his 7th inning, 3rd time around, let's take him out. It just absolutely doesn't make any sense to me. And that's where anyone thinks they can coach. And in a sense, it's not. The hardest thing is it's all the extra stuff. It's the housing. It's bringing guys from other places. Are they being fed? Are they passing classes? Are financial aid? So that's the hardest part, especially at this level. And some of the best coaches are usually not at the highest levels. You know, if Coach Scott had the resources that like another prominent, there's no reason why he wouldn't win 35 games a year. And I just think where at this level, at this school, that we actually really, really coach. And we squeeze the lemon dry. And it usually has very little to do with what happens during the game. It's usually all the other stuff, you know, like in about 60 minutes, I'm about to ask Coach Scott, let me borrow your truck to go move some stuff. So that's you know, that's how I look at it.
Yeah, it's 100% right. You know, it's not necessarily the game itself. It's personalities. It's dealing with young adults that vary. And again, worried about me. You know, Cerro Coso in Ridgecrest is extremely difficult to recruit students. Extremely, maybe one of the top 3 or 4 hardest places in the state of California. It is what it is. And again, it's a testament to certainly Coach Dugan's program and ours and the other sports that are starting to bring student athletes here. So if you could coach here, or I should say if you can manage here, you can pretty much do it anywhere across the country. And that's a good thing. It's a positive thing. It's something that you kind of earn your money with a lot of this stuff. Yeah, it's worrying about, again, like Coach said, if you know your guys are eating, or you know if they're acting right around town, you name it, you know, all those worries and kind of managing personalities and you know, certain student athletes have different home lives, right, that you don't know about, but you find out about, and you're acting like, you know, again, everybody here, at least on the baseball team, most of them, we have 53 players. I'd say 51 of them are outside of Ridgecrest. So if you're outside of Ridgecrest, you are moving here. So it's kind of like we have 51 sons, you know, in a way. So it's that's a piece of it. It's enjoyable, it's fun, but it's also a full-time job.
Yeah, I mean, I had my entire team over for Thanksgiving, you know, a sense of my family and stuff. So it's just, you know, more worried about that than preparing for a game to make sure they're taken care of and all those type of things.
I will say I'm fortunate because I have 2 tremendous assistant baseball coaches, absolutely tremendous, which takes a lot of load off.
At least I'm the bad person because I didn't pick up Mike then. So no, Mike does a good job. So.
Any other questions, y'all?
I did have one other question, actually.
Yeah.
So you mentioned getting started. You used kind of a seamless transition.
Yeah.
Did you get a job at San Jose State University right out of the gate? Is that where you started?
I was still a student, so basically a student assistant. It's very fortunate. You know, it's so fun. I've been very, very fortunate where I grew up in a very underprivileged home, but because I grew up in a very underprivileged home, I never knew my father, but I've always had a whole bunch of coaches and male figures that stepped in my life, and one of those people is a guy named Rich Hughes, and this is how all this tangent goes on, where when I was a freshman in high school, I was homeless, and I had nowhere to go, and I was ineligible. He used to let me film for him, and he would get me money, he would pick me up and take care of me, and he got another job, he went to Bakersfield College, I ended up playing at Hancock, and then about 6 years later, I had spoken to him, and I had a little animosity because I didn't go and play for him. And he didn't have to, but I went to San Jose State, and I was just done playing. And he called him, and he said, "Hey, I got a guy. He's a good kid in this situation. You know, he's not talented enough to play for you guys, but he'd be a great walk-on. He's a great person." And that like planted the seed. And when I was a walk-on, I just made sure like we had the number 3 scorer in the nation, and I was like, we're doing shooting. Like I wouldn't shoot, I would just go rebound for him, because that was my main thing. I wanted at that time. I thought I wanted to be a Division I coach, and I just made sure like. I looked at it as like, this is my job interview. I got to work my butt off every single day. And so it allowed me. Now it wasn't a paid position. It was something where we had a video coordinator. He had left. They were trying to find someone. I was still going to be in school, and so I had that opportunity. And then we were fired, so that lasted a whole 8 months, and so I made it, and then we got fired really quickly. And I was lucky enough that same person who got the recommendation, he was now the athletic director at College Sequoias, and he said, if you want to learn to coach basketball, you're going to come work for Rusty Smith. And little did I know what I was getting into. It was like I'd call him on the phone and he's mowing a lawn, and that's like the whole like JUCO thing is he's on the phone mowing. Like, hey, you want to come down? Hey, come down whenever. So I came down. I met this guy. I'm like, this guy's an absolute whack job. Like what are we doing here? But it was absolutely. I had a chance to go be assistant coach at Allen Hancock in my hometown and go and be comfortable, or go work for Rusty Smith, which happened to be the greatest decision that I've ever made. And that chain of reaction allowed me to be, at one point, I was the youngest head coach in the state of California. And it all started from that Rich Hughes, because it was Rich Hughes to Brent Davis. Brent Davis called John McHenry here and got me that position. So I was very fortunate. You know, even though it was an unpaid job, you know, was your GA paid?
No.
Yeah,
School.
Yeah, schooling paid. So I emailed 384 coaches, and only one person responded back to me. And I was a video coordinator to get a GA job because I knew I needed to get a master's. And at that time, they did not have GA jobs because we were in a time where financially a lot of programs were cutting. So they just didn't have that option. So I'm glad I didn't take the video coordinator job at Xavier. Because you know this is the path that I've led on to be where I wanted to be. So,
Fantastic. Any other questions, guys?
All right. We'll go ahead and wrap this one up. Say thank you to our coaches for coming out today. We really appreciate y'all and sharing your stories. Those are awesome. I can relate to a lot of those things, a lot of those stories, a lot of those experiences. So for me, it hit home, and hearing your guys' story is pretty special to me. So thank you for coming out and doing that. Guys, that was Coyote Chat number 7. Thank you guys so much. Before y'all leave, if you could, there is a survey up here at the top. My left, your right. Let us know. Do you like the food? Was the food good? Who do you want to hear from next? Those sorts of things in that survey just over there. Up on my top right, your left, there is a link to our Discord. We're trying to get that thing growing, coming back, and it is thanks to Zach, who is somewhere in the audience today. And then down here, all things student government related are going to be right here. You can join student clubs through their prontos, through our link tree, and you see all the things that we're doing with student government through there as well. So thank you guys very much. Appreciate it. Thank y'all.
Thanks, Tyson.